You know what sucks about really wanting to make a video? Sometimes when you sit down, you set everything up, just about to record, some neighbour starts mowing their fucking lawn. So, if you hear that, fuck it. I really want to talk about this damn movie and I want to do it right now. Let's get into it. 1976's The Omen. Alright, this is going to might be a little more spoilery than my usual late reviews because I really want to talk about some of the things that happen in it. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to spoil some of it. But it is an iconic horror movie. It has been parodied a lot, so you might know some things in this movie without having seen it. Hell, you might even have heard parodies of this music that in this flick by Jerry Goldsmith that you've heard parodied and homaged in so many other places. This is a really iconic horror flick, and the music in The Omen by Jerry Goldsmith, which he won an Academy Award for, it's got that kind of soundtrack that's like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Every Western parody or homage that you see in TV shows and movies has to have that kind of thing, or that kind of guitar style, something like that, that makes you think Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So you've kind of heard that tune even before you've seen that Western. And the same is true for The Omen, the music. I'm going to talk a little more about the music as we go along. It's fucking phenomenal. I was surprised this was directed by Richard Donner, of all people. When I think Richard Donner, I think Superman, Superman 2, and all of the Lethal Weapon movies. That's where my mind goes straight away when I think of him. So I was kind of shocked that he's directed this horror movie. I don't equate him with horror movies that much. Like, it feels like a departure, even though he made this before he made Superman. So yes, directed by Richard Donner, wonderful music by Jared Goldsmith, and what a fucking cast. Gregory Peck, wow. Yeah, I'm going to read this over here. Gregory Peck as Robert Thorne, Lee Remick as Catherine Thorne, the amazing David Warner as Keith Jennings. David Warner is one of my favourite actors of all time. And if you're into anything nerdy, like any nerdy genre of like TV or film, David Warner's been in it in some way. He's the guy that makes Captain Picard say that there are four lights. You know, that's David Warner. Right, so he's fucking fantastic in this. We've got this actor Billy Whitelaw who plays Willa Blaylock, who's this fucking creepy babysitter. The immortal Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor himself, plays Father Brennan. We got number 2 Leo McKern as Carl Bugenhagen. Yeah, there's no way I was ever going to remember that. And Harvey Spencer Stevens as Damien, who has very few actor credits, really. He's in this, one other movie, and the 2006 Omen remake in a deleted scene. So he doesn't have a long acting career. You know, I guess if you're only going to make a movie or two, at least one of them's like an iconic horror flick. Can't go too wrong there. The gist of this movie is an American ambassador and his wife, they want to have a kid really bad. And his wife, Catherine, has a miscarriage. And these priest types convince Gregory Peck to swap that baby with this other baby that they have and raise that as their own. And well, they're desperate for kids, so they do it. We cut to 5 years later, and that's where all this dark and sinister shit starts to happen. So I'm going to say, if you're a religious type, this movie might affect you a lot more. I'm not. So it probably doesn't have quite the same impact as it might on religious types. Because, you know, it's all about God and the devil and all that kind of stuff. And it's very creepy with its imagery, with everything. It goes to places that might disturb a lot of viewers, and I think in a good way, since this is a horror film. So just be aware of that. Even if you're not a religious type, fucking hell, this movie is creepy, and it's full of this like oncoming dread. There's this dread and creepiness that permeates the entire movie. It's fantastic. And can I just say something about horror movies and TV shows in general? All right, we've got the devil and all these demons always actively doing shit on Earth, and it always feels like Mr. God up there does nothing. What's up with that? That aside, I want to mention that I never finished this movie when I was a kid. And I watched a lot of gore flicks, like the Jason movies, the Freddy movies. I watched Evil Dead flicks. When I was a little kid, I got to watch all these on VHS. Dad would take me to the video store. I'd come home with a stack of VHS tapes, and he'd be like, yep, that'll keep him busy these school holidays. And it did. And the Omen must have been one of the movies I chose. Now, I didn't stop watching it because I was freaked the fuck out until one moment. See, I was a little Doctor Who fan. I still am. And I'm still little. I'm pretty short. I was a little Doctor Who fan, and I love me some Patrick Troughton. One of the first VHS Doctor Who's I got from the video store was like Tomb of the Cybermen, something like that. So I was quite confronted when I saw Patrick Troughton's character, Father Brennan, get impaled and die. And my little brain was just like, yep, that's enough for me. And I never finished The Omen. I was ready for that moment though. Really ready for it. So yes, it still made me go, oh, I don't like that. But I'm not supposed to like it. It's a pretty horrifying scene. Now, there's some really shocking shit in this movie that even today is just like, oh, okay, that's, whoa. Like at the start of the movie, Damien has this babysitter, and they're all at this kind of like party or something. There's kids' rides and all this kind of shit going on. And the babysitter climbs up on this ledge, noose around her neck, and she's like, hey, Damien, look at me. Hey, Damien, look at me. Jump, and hangs herself. And there's all these kids watching. They see this friggin' woman just like commit suicide. And you're like, okay. And then towards the end of the film, Gregory Peck has come to the realization that he has to take out Damien because he's the son of Satan and shit. And at the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, he's dragging the kid just like along the ground by his little arm. Like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. There's a really cool shit in this, especially involving David Warner, who plays Keith Jennings. He's this photographer whose character didn't go anywhere near the way I thought it would. I thought it'd be like this snooping reporter, douchebag kind of type, trying to blackmail Robert Thorne. Is it Robert Thorne or Richard Thorne? Yep, it's Robert. for something like that. But no, it's not the case. He took these photos of Father Brennan, and each photo of he took of Father Brennan, that's Patrick Troughton, had a line through him like that, signifying that, holy shit, this guy's going to die. And then you find out why he cares so much, because some photo he took recently had a shot of him in front of a mirror, and when he developed that shot, it shows like something going through his head, and so he joins forces with Robert to try and figure out what's going on and to put a stop to it, because he's on he's on the clock, man. Like, the time's ticking away. You just don't know how and when you don't kind of know how he's going to die, but it's just a matter of when. And just that kind of creeping terror and dread really fills this movie so well. And all of these emotional moments, the mystery, the horror, all of it works because the music is so fucking fantastic. Sometimes it's loud and intense. There's a part where Robert Thorne and Keith Jennings are being attacked by these hellhound dogs, just getting fucking ripped to shreds and shit. And the music's loud, it's intense, it's banging. And then there's other moments where a character's just walking and some creepy shit's happening, and the music ever so lightly is going like this. The music can be loud and intense and overbearing, or it can be just this quiet and subtle thing. It's wonderful. Everyone's performance in this film is fantastic, but Billy Whitelaw as the new babysitter is a follower of Satan, and pretty much lets Damien do whatever he wants. Like, she's there to protect him and to serve him, and just her eyes, man, that's some creepy ass shit. Now, it's a slow movie. Be prepared for that. It's only an hour and 50 minutes, so it's not some 2.5 hour epic or anything like that. But there's a slow pace to this movie that might bother some people. You might sit there watching, oh, this is a bit boring. But for me, I was riveted to the screen for the entire runtime. Some of the reveals were shocking, but a part of me was like going, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I should have known that was that, because I've seen 40 something odd years worth of horror and TV shows and all that, of stories and all that kind of shit that have taken things from this, parodied, making jokes about it or something, or blatantly ripped it off. So the reveal of when Robert and Keith are in the graveyard, that was one where I was like, when they opened it, I was like, oh, I kind of should have seen that, but I didn't. So I didn't know a lot of the twists and turns and places this movie could go, because all I remembered was Patrick Troughton dying and me being absolutely fucking devastated. I do need to talk about the ending though. I like the ending. It's really good, but it's... Alright, there's one thing wrong with it. One is Robert Thorne is trying to kill Damien. He has to take him to hallowed ground and put these knives in him in a cross. And he has him down, and he's just getting into that when, on the way there, by the way, he sped, so the fucking cops were like, real. But this is London, this is England. And when the cops come in, they come in and they shoot him. And I'm like, alright, so I want some people in the know. Did police officers carry guns in England at that time? I know they don't now. I know they're actually famous for not carrying guns. So it just took me by surprise. And then another thing about the ending is, I turned to my wife and I said, look, the son of Satan or not, there is no way this kid's dying. They're not going to kill a child in this movie. And I was right. The movie ends with this funeral for Robert and Catherine, and the kids there smiling. So yeah, I've kind of ruined a lot of this movie, but I really felt I needed to go deep into it, a little deeper than usual. I know it's a long review, without even giving you guys a score. For a non-religious person like me, I still found this movie to be quite shocking and disturbing. There's a lot of dread and creepiness that permeates everything. The performances are first rate, and the ending, by modern standards, is a bit cliche, because every horror movie's got to have that kind of sequel bait ending. But the ending to this works. Now, I don't know if I'm going to review the sequels or not. I kind of like where this leaves off, and if I watch the sequels, they're probably not going to be as good. And I kind of like the package that the Omen has. I like it so much. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. It's not a 10, and I think, yeah, the slow pacing, I just said it didn't bother me too much, but it's still a little slow, It's some of it doesn't hold up quite as well because if you've seen a lot of stuff since The Omen without having seen The Omen, you've seen bits of The Omen without realizing it, and that's not really the movie's fault. But yeah, and the ending, which I kind of saw coming, didn't ruin things for me. Now, if you've heard me spoil the shit out of this movie and you've never seen it, oh, I'd recommend watching it. It's fucking phenomenal. It is a really good horror flick that stands the test of time, I think, in some ways. In other ways, it doesn't because it's so iconic that a lot of the things have just been spoiled already. So there you have it. The Omen. Pretty damn good. Let's do the thing. It's an omen. Do 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 do.